Are you ever concerned that your stress level may be impacting your health and you're worried that if you continue like this, it's going to kill you? Well, today we're going to make you feel better about that. And if this video does not prove to you that your thoughts create your reality, nothing is going to convince you of this. So here we go. So scientists decided to do a study, and because they believed off the bat that stress kills you. So they decided to follow 30,000 people at different stress levels, and 8 years later, find out who died, basically is what they did. And what they found was if you were highly stressed, you had a 43% increased risk of premature death. So at first glance, it's like, okay, so I guess it's true, stress kills you. But then they took this a little further and they dissected it a little bit more. And they interviewed, I guess this was still at the beginning of the interview though, they had this already sectioned up, who believed stress could kill them and who believed that stress had no impact on health. And the only ones that died were the ones that believed that stress could kill them. And to make, to reinforce this, what they also found is people under incredible amounts of stress that did not believe it impacted their health outlived people that had no or little stress. So let that sink in. So people that were highly stressed, that did not believe stress impacted their health, outlived people that had little to no stress. Wow. So by that perspective, maybe stress is good for you. And when you think about the kinds of stress you happen, I mean, life is just stressful. But sometimes you take on careers, let's say, or there's challenges in the family that really add a triple, quadruple layer of stress that we think that we can't manage, that our health absolutely cannot survive how we're feeling. And as long as we hold on to that belief, you're right. And it's a ticking time bomb to a heart attack. But if you reframe your perspective of stress and learn to fall in love with it, which we're going to talk about in a second, it doesn't have the same negative impact on you as it does when you're worried about it. So this is something that I had to come to terms with years ago when I got promoted into an executive role. To get to the top was pretty grueling. And I'm in a very combative, litigious career sector. So it was insane. And the level of stress I was in was really negative. And I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating right, my house was a mess, my marriage was falling apart because of, in part, because of how much I was working. And it was just one big pile of poop. And I would get down about it. I would get down that everything was negative. I would get down that everything was so hard. And because I kept hearing all the health gurus say stress kills, stress kills, stress kills, I assumed I was going to die any minute because the amount of stress I was in was inhumane. When both my parents were in cancer, I was going through all that, and then both my parents got cancer and went into treatment at the same time. I don't know how I survived that year. I was a complete and utter stressed out ball of mess, but still had to run the family business. It was a mess. Everything. My spouse was being an ass, through all of that. So it was just hard. And I would say to myself, this is going to kill me. This is going to kill me. And sure enough, I ended up at Emerge one day. And, I walked in, I looked at everybody in emergency, and it was gross and disgusting, and I'm a germaphobe, and decided I would die in the parking lot before stepping foot in emergency. So I went home, eventually made a doctor's appointment, and it turned out I fried my thyroid. But I was so bad. And I remember my doctor saying to me, you're under so much stress, you're going to die. This is your body getting ready to die. That's why your thyroid is fried. So he gave me the big anti-stress speech. So I went home, I changed my schedule, I changed my life, which I guess is a good thing. I made some major life changes, so it's a great thing. But at the same time, I just replaced one kind of stress with another. So the treatments my mom's treatments were over, my dad's comfortable. So everything kind of stabilized a little bit. But work is still litigious, you know what I mean? My career is still really stressful. I left the asshole husband, but then dating's not much fun either, you know what I mean? So, there's all these other stresses that were coming in. The financial pressure of a divorce is as bad as the bad marriage, you know what I mean? So all of that was eating at me. And one day I got really down on myself because, you know, at work, when you're at the top of the chain, you could go hours or days with nobody calls you and it's peaceful, but then when the shit hits the fan, you're the only one who could fix things. And sometimes your phone is ringing off the hook. And when you have employees that deal with you all the time and they think that the only things on your mind are what they're telling you, they don't realize you have another 50 irons on the fire, you know, nobody understands the pressure cooker that you're in, so then it's isolating too. So I remember I was down on myself about this. People only call me when there's a problem, and I kind of felt like, I describe this a lot actually, where I feel like a bird feeder and everybody's pecking off me, you know. And I watched Gary Vaynerchuk. If you haven't heard of him, check him out, from VaynerMedia. So I was listening to one of his videos, and it was basically a slap in the face. Like, if you're an executive and you're stressed out because everybody comes to you with their problems, oh, boo-hoo, you made it to the top, boo-hoo, you know, and he was really condescending and mean, and it was exactly what I needed to hear, because I realized, you know, well, basically I was feeling sorry for myself for getting to be a position where I was irreplaceable, which is what everybody wants in career, is to be the one that nobody can live without. So, you know, I was being stupid. So then I sat down and I talked to my dad, who's like my guru when it comes to business and personal development. So I sat down with him and I said, Dad, like, it's getting to me. How do you not, because, you know, my dad's so stoic, you know, the shit could hit the fan and you phone him and he doesn't react. He's just like, oh, well, you know, and then we move on and nothing gets to him. So I said to him, you know, how do you not lose your shit? And he said, Daniela, because I've accepted that this is the job. This is the role. When you're an entrepreneur, this is it. So if you don't love it, you might as well leave it. So if you want to enjoy the freedom to make your own schedule, the freedom financially to earn without a limit, you know, all the things that a regular job keeps you from having. If you want the freedom that entrepreneurship gives you and being a boss gives you, then you better learn to love your day-to-day, because it's not changing. Nothing you're going to do is going to get rid of asshole customers or employees that don't understand or whoever else is disappointing you. You know, bylaw officials being assholes, you know, the legislation and red tape and blah, 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 blah. If you don't learn to love that, you're in big trouble. And one thing about my dad is he's an adrenaline junkie. So he used to put himself in positions that were highly stressful. When I was very, very young, he was a career criminal. He went to prison twice. That's stressful. Being a career criminal is stressful. The things I've seen, you know, and I'd say to him, like, God, because my mom was boring. Like, she was the opposite end of that. Thank goodness I lived with my mother's family for the most part, because they were really boring, normal people. And I like that. So when I'd go visit my dad, I'd be pulling my hair out, and the family was always fighting, dramatic. Southern Italian drama queens, right? And I'd say to him, how, like, can't you just be quiet? Can't you guys just watch TV? And he loved it. He'd say, I love it. I love the pressure. I love the drama. He didn't love prison, so that straightened him out. But then what he did was he bought a stressful business. He started a restaurant, which is still very active, very crazy, very wild, very stressful. And he thrived in that environment. And then he led the family into textile reclamation, which is 1,000 times worse in terms of stress. And he thrived there too. And I would remember that sometimes we'd have really good years where there were no problems, and he would get depressed. He would be like, I'm bored, you know, whatever. And he would need things to get shooken up just for him to be okay. So not only did he learn to be okay with stress, but he loved it so much that when things were so good, it was peaceful, he was miserable. I'm not suggesting you get to that, by the way. He's insane. I mean, so we're a little bit nicer. We're taking over my mom's side. We're going to inch that way. But the point is, though, that for 65 years, that man never once went to the doctor. He was under more stress than anybody I know. Never once had to go to a doctor. He got cancer later in his life after a big betrayal. He never even caught a cold, much less anything else. Always under stress. So as I'm reading this study, I'm thinking of my dad. I'm like, God, you know what? It's true. And in the last few years, okay that my parents are in treatment and certain stressors aren't here, but other stressors like post-divorce stress, new relationship stress, work is so stressful. Now I'm an industry advocate and lobbyist and political strategist walking into a federal election. So you can imagine the amount of stress I'm in. And I'm about to do a massive, literally historic making thing at work I can't really talk about, but the pressure is insane. And yet I've never felt healthier, because the speech that he gave me about learn to love the fact that your phone is ringing and every time someone has a problem you can't solve, that means you're at the top, that Gary Vaynerchuk speech plus my dad's speech really sunk in. So I started to look at my stress differently. I started to look at my stress as symptom of success. Instead of it being a symptom that my life was out of balance or my life was wrong or something was wrong, it was symptoms that I was living. I was obviously living a full life if I felt this overwhelmed all the time. I'm obviously very highly successful if I have the pressure of an entire industry on my mind and not just my little job, right? So, every time something negative will come up, I instantly in my head say, wow, I must really be powerful, or wow, I must really be successful for me to be dealing with this level of shit, and I support myself very much through that. I think why people that were afraid of stress died, that was when my thyroid was frying, because I remember me thinking this can't be healthy, and I would keep hearing memes and articles and doctors and everybody saying stress kills, stress kills, stress kills, stress. So when I would be stressed, I'd be waiting for my heart to burst. I'd be waiting for that aneurysm, right? Because this isn't healthy, this can't be healthy. Ironic though, and then too, when you're that overwhelmed, you start to get negative, you start to get self-sabotagey. So I bet you my thyroid frying didn't have much to do with the work so much as the fact that I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wasn't doing all the other things that you should do when you are under, under a huge amount of stress. So I bet you that is what impacted my thyroid probably more than anything else. So now that I'm under this level of stress, and for the last few years I've been doing this, is I'm just acutely aware of my health. I'm acutely aware of my mental health. And I don't let it spiral into phases, you know what I mean? So, for example, if I'm really busy, psycho busy, I make sure I rest. If I don't sleep in the night because I have horrible insomnia, this stressed out, I'm thinking about legislation at 3 in the morning. I was up till 7 this morning thinking about legislation. I got a few hours of sleep between 7 and 9. That happened yesterday too. But yesterday I also took a nap. Today I'll probably take a nap. And because I knew I was exhausted yesterday, I tripled my nutrition. I went crazy on the Ningxia Red, I went crazy on supplements, and I really watched the diet, I really watched the rest, and I watched my mental health. I've become so acutely aware of when I'm in a rut or feeling dumpy, Yesterday was one of those days. Yesterday I woke up feeling exhausted and burnt out and tired. So I said to myself, I'm going to do very little work because my brain couldn't even process ideas, work, or anything. And I walked to the farmer's market, then I brought everything home, I took a rest, and then I walked to the grocery store and did all my shopping for the week so that I won't have to leave the house this week for errands, right? I can just focus on home and work. So I got all the errands out of the way because I was already tired anyways, might as well finish. Came home, took a very long nap, made a very good dinner, had a good glass of wine, you know what I mean? And while I was doing that, I got all these fresh ideas for work. So this non-day work ended up me leaving messages for work saying, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. So as stressed and tired and miserable as I was, forcing myself to be out around people when I didn't want to. I tend to be a loner. I tend to do this when I'm depressed, force myself to go out. I walked 9 kilometers yesterday. 9. You know how many endorphins that pumps through me? Now, usually I can walk 3 to 5 kilometers and I feel like I'm getting an endorphin boost. Yesterday I was so miserable and so I knew that I had to push it. So I did the whole 9 kilometers, you know what I mean? Just to push my body a little bit and really get the oxygen flowing. And then when I started getting all these ideas for work, that kind of gave me a peace because its solutions are coming, right? And that's what happens when you walk a really long time. So you start getting all these wonderful ideas, leaving out all these messages and feelers. Now I feel like things are getting done, or at least they're out there, and that kind of calms me down a little bit. And then there's time management techniques you can start learning. We're going to cover some of these today, not today, sorry, in this group, because I know that technically this is supposed to be a product knowledge group. But this Young Living is a wellness company. It's not just this oil smells good, here you go. It's a wellness company, and people that join Young Living are on a journey to wellness, and the oils and the supplements are great, and I use them. But when you use them with the correct mindset, everything changes. It's not just about the vitamin. It's that your life, everything changes. So before you demonize or tell the story to yourself, more importantly, that the stress you're in is going to kill you, rethink that. Could the stress be maybe a symptom of something grand that's coming for you that you're getting prepared for? And if you can get yourself to that mindset, you'll find that when you're approaching things in a positive mindset, they resolve a little bit quicker. And you're in a better position mentally to think outside the box, to find solutions to the problems that otherwise you get stuck in. And when you are stuck, because that happens, I got stuck yesterday. All this preaching, whatever I've known for years, yesterday I got stuck. But I have a tool. I have an emotional toolbox. I know to get out around people. I know to take a long walk. I know, to get oxygenated. I know not to get drunk. Like, there's things I know to do and not do in these moments. I know to triple my Ninja intake. I know to take my Super Greens and my Super B, because the Super B really helps me manage stress as well. So I do all the things I can to support me. And instead of sitting here worrying that the stress I'm in is going to kill me, what I am saying is, this is the walk of a leader. So this is my life as an executive, member in business, and it's okay. And the reason that not too many people get to this level is not too many people can thrive under this kind of emotional duress. But like my dad, if I can learn to love it a little bit, right, then suddenly not so bad. And being uncomfortable, not so bad. Did you know that they've done studies that disagreeable people tend to be more successful in business and make more money than agreeable people? And when you're stressed out and you're tired, especially hit your 40s, perimenopause, you lose your patience for shit. You know what I mean? You really feel your stress in those moments. And again, we can demonize that, but look, statistics prove that when you become disagreeable, you will actually become more successful. And you don't become disagreeable when you're happy. That happens when you're stressed. In my career, I told you I'm doing this big legal thing right now. And I remember my boyfriend came to stay for a while. And when he's here, I'm happy because he makes me happy. He's wonderful, he's sweet, and it was hard for me to get into the vicious mode I needed to do to get this job done, because I'm too damn happy and nothing was pissing me off. And in my job, I need to be mad. Like, that's just my job, right? My job is to be litigious. So when he left, he went back home, and then I missed him, and then I became disagreeable again. You should see how much work I'm getting done and how much progress I've made, because now I'm disagreeable again, right? So I'm feeling the stress. Before, he was here to make me a cocktail and run me a bath and take away my stress, and now that he's not here, it's getting to me, and I'm getting so much more accomplished. So look at that. So stress can sometimes be a good thing. It can. But whether you hate it or you don't let yourself think that it's going to kill you, because statistics prove if you believe it'll kill you, it will. Statistics, though, remember, also prove that if you don't believe it will impact your health, you will outlive people that have no stress. And if people don't have stress, it's not because they have the perfect life, it's because they're not living. And I bet you if they're dying faster than people that are stressed out, it's because they're probably sitting around doing nothing and then dying of artery blockages and things like that, right? So if you're not stressed, you may not be doing. And I'm not saying work yourself to the point of being stressed, or if you're not miserable, you're not growing, because I think that's another extreme that's ridiculous. I believe life is meant to be enjoyed. But don't put a guillotine over you by believing that something is going to kill you, when statistics prove you'll actually outlive people if you have the right mindset. Have a great day.